So Loom's co-founder Vinay Hiremath sold the company for over $1 billion and later admitted that he felt insecure and lost, despite everything that he'd achieved. So what does it really take to be confident if not for money? Most people think that confidence is something you have or you don't. They treat it like a personality trait or something that's determined by upbringing, privilege, or early wins. But what if I told you that true confidence actually came from the losses you survived and not the wins that you had? When we talk about building the mindset for high performance, what we're really talking about is learning how to make better decisions and respond under stress. And understanding the psychology behind what's blocking you from feeling confident in your decisions is the first step, because high performance or clear thinking breaks down very quickly when it feels like every decision requires reassurance or a second opinion just to feel safe moving forward. So the true test of confidence is really how you operate under pressure. It's not about how many achievements you have. If you're capable, self-aware, and thoughtful, but still look for reassurance before acting, or feel like you don't have enough accolades to be confident, this video is for you. By the end of this video, you'll have 5 mindset shifts to help you update your mental model of confidence. Not as something that you borrow from external validation, titles, or status symbols, but as something internal that compounds over time and directly shapes how clearly, calmly, and decisively you think, from the inside out. And to be clear, this video isn't about judging or shaming others. It's a collection of insights based on psychological patterns that I've seen in my own self and in others around me. Take what resonates with you and feel free to leave what doesn't. Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Kriti. I'm a data scientist by trade, but I'm obsessed with decoding the psychological frameworks for high performance thinking by choice. This channel is where we talk about the mindset shifts, systems, habits, and strategies that help build inner clarity and take meaningful action towards your goals. With that, let's begin. Confidence isn't always a personality trait. It's a byproduct of all the things you've survived. For some people, confidence looks natural. When you hear their story later, told in hindsight, they'll often describe it as having delusional self-belief, as if they simply woke up one day and decided to believe in themselves more aggressively than others. But I think that explanation skips the mechanism entirely, because you can choose to sound confident today, dress up your effort, and even convince other people that you're taking bold steps, while still questioning yourself internally at every decision point. From my own experience, I've realized that what people call delusional self-belief is usually the result of having failed repeatedly, recovered repeatedly, and lived long enough with uncertainty that the nervous system simply embodied the belief, I can handle whatever comes next. So that delusional self-belief doesn't just come from imagination. It comes from exposure to losses. We're talking about the sheer volume of struggle here. The attempts that didn't work, the decisions that cost you something, or the moments where quitting would have been easier but you just didn't. Confidence is built the same way as credibility is, through evidence. How often have you done the things that you said you would do even when you didn't feel ready, even when it was inconvenient, or even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed? Failure doesn't erode confidence the way people think it does. Breaking trust with yourself does. Every time you override your own word, your mind updates its model of you. That model directly affects how quickly you can decide, how well you tolerate uncertainty, and how much energy gets wasted on self-doubt. This is why people with less talent sometimes outperform people who are objectively more capable. They've built more internal evidence that they can move, adjust, and recover without relying on talent. It's also why you'll hear great leaders describe struggle as formative rather than unfortunate. And I don't know if you've seen this video before, but Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, has talked about wishing struggle for people. Not because it's pleasant, but because it builds the capacity to operate without certainty. So confidence isn't a feeling. It's what your past actions have proven to you. And that accumulated proof is what allows high performers to stay stable under pressure. The real mindset shift here is this. You need to be willing to fail and trust that every failure has a lesson that you can carry forward as wisdom. Here's the second shift. True confidence begins when you stop managing how you're perceived. Here's the pattern that I see in most people who feel stuck while trying to get ahead. They sense this gap between who they are and who they appear to be externally. And they also often have this sense of who they think they should be versus who they actually are. And that comparison adds pressure to do something about it. But instead of closing that gap through action, which is slow and uncomfortable, many people opt to manage it visually and socially. They adopt a confident language, they name drop, and they curate a lifestyle that signals success to others. Again, this is not about shaming anybody, but the hope here is usually that if the image holds long enough, the internal state will eventually catch up. This can work for some time, but ultimately the pressure from the increasing gap builds up. Maintaining an image without the internal identity to support it creates a load on your nervous system. Even if things look fine externally and on paper, there's going to be a constant monitoring happening internally in the background. And as a result, your health can begin to deteriorate. Imagine this. You inherit a large amount of money overnight, or maybe you just won the lottery, and you have enough money to buy your dream car. Let's say that's a Rolls Royce. On paper, that should feel like success. But if you haven't become the kind of person who can hold this type of visibility, the car won't feel like a reward. It'll start to feel like exposure. You feel watched, judged, and maybe like an imposter. It's not because you did anything wrong, but because your internal capacity hasn't caught up to hold the symbol. And you'll find that this type of premature visibility and social signaling is also what sits under imposter syndrome. Any external marker that you haven't grown into internally becomes heavier the more visible it gets. I've seen that people who manage their perception aggressively, rehearse conversations, over-explain their decisions, and they're really trying to protect their image with ego instead of curiosity. And they try to avoid mistakes instead of learning from them. And that type of confidence is fragile. And fragile confidence is incompatible with high-performance thinking because clear decision-making requires humility, self-correction, and the willingness to face shortcomings without collapsing. You can't think clearly if all your mental energy is going toward maintaining appearances. So here's the mindset shift that you need to be aware of. If you feel the need to prove something, you might not be fully ready to stand on it yet. Slow down and be honest with yourself. And let patience and consistent action replace the need to be seen a certain way. The third thing to understand about building confidence is clarity begins where validation ends. A mind that isn't constantly seeking validation or reassurance thinks more clearly and for themselves. You might find that your confidence is tested the most in 3 situations, like when you're chasing a goal, in high visibility environments, and in moments where you're being evaluated. So when you feel that self-doubt creeping in, every move feels high risk, not because the stakes are objectively high, but because there's insufficient internal evidence that you'll handle the outcome well. So you start looking for reassurance. People ask for advice from their friends and family, which can be healthy. But if someone has low self-esteem, they can allow external opinions to override their internal judgment entirely. So what's missing here isn't intelligence, it's discernment. And discernment is built through failures, through learning what doesn't work, why it didn't work, and how to adjust the next time. In fact, feedback, criticism, and some amount of self-reflection is really good for building confidence. It helps you understand yourself and build discernment to what you can and cannot handle, and what you'll do differently the next time from a place of wisdom. When you trust your ability to recover and adapt, you can act without needing constant confirmation, and you can process feedback without getting defensive about it. That inner knowledge speeds up thinking. It simplifies decisions, reduces hesitation, and that's where performance compounds into real, lasting results. So here's the takeaway from this. Make a list of all the skills that you became good at through practice and time. Use that evidence to remind yourself that growth doesn't require validation. You already know what it takes to get there. The fourth shift here comes from knowing that confidence compounds through time and honest self-observation. Confidence isn't just built by convincing yourself you're ready. It's built by staying engaged long enough to realize that you can handle more than you expected. And time matters here. If you look back honestly, you'll see that the situations that once felt overwhelming now barely register. Conversations that once triggered anxiety now feel natural. And decisions that once required days of overthinking and research now happen quickly. You've been through enough at this point to realize that you've handled worse. And that knowledge is what stabilizes confidence. I've seen that it's really easy for people to confuse confidence with audacity or cockiness. And I think that's because they see the outcome, but not the process that it took to get to that point. What looks like boldness is usually endurance that's been integrated into their personality. So confidence here doesn't come from believing in yourself harder. It comes from staying in the arena long enough that self-doubt becomes unnecessary. So yeah, I don't think you need delusion. You just need repetition. Doing hard things repeatedly, even if they're imperfect. And showing up even when the outcome is uncertain. Confidence is what remains once you've outworked all your doubts. And that steadiness is what allows high-performance thinking to remain clear instead of reactive. So make one promise to yourself today. Don't stop on the imperfect days. Repeat it long enough so that consistency becomes automatic and the process starts to feel rewarding. Confidence compounds naturally as you learn to trust yourself to follow through no matter what. Here's the fifth mindset shift. There is no shortcut to real confidence. In an ideal world, yeah, sure, we all want the feeling without the process. But unfortunately, there is no shortcut to becoming someone you respect. As I mentioned earlier, Vinay Hiremath talked openly about feeling lost and deeply insecure about his success. He got the money, he got the recognition. And from the outside, it's easy to think, if I had that kind of money, I'd be fine struggling. But you have to know that the struggle doesn't disappear even if the rewards are front-loaded. And I say this because in his case, the external reward came before he had built the internal capacity for it. But most people experience the opposite. The reward comes later, after discipline, repetition, and building real self-trust through consistency. That's the long cut. And that's the only way you build real confidence that you can stand on during times of high pressure. I found that you can't outsource confidence to material possessions or status symbols without it feeling hollow eventually. And you also simply can't affirm confidence into existence. You have to live it. When your values, actions, and identity contradict each other, there is a type of mental friction. But when they align, you'll feel the confidence emerge naturally. So if you're capable, burnt out, and quietly frustrated with yourself, this isn't about needing more motivation. It's about being more honest with yourself. Where in your life do you feel the gap between how you experience yourself internally and how you project yourself outwardly? And are you willing to close that gap gradually instead of covering it up convincingly? Because confidence doesn't just arrive, it accumulates over time. So, with that, the whole point of this video was to say that you can't access confidence on demand. It's something you earn over time by becoming internally aligned. And that's the part that most people never explain. If this video resonated with you and you took away some insights worth pondering over, then hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might need to hear it as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.